DY Patil Pratishthan, which is one of the educational trusts based out of Pune, Kolhapur, Mumbai. And at our center, we have two institutes. One is Institute for Advanced Computing and Software Development. That's an authorized training center of CDAC. We have a center which grooms and nurtures students for high-end advanced computing and programming skills. And we have got a management college which is NAC accredited, A grade, that is Dr. D.Y. Patil Institute of Management Studies. And both these centers have been in existence for more than 15 years now. And one is the Management Institute has got expertise in providing specialization in marketing, finance, HR, business analytics, operations, logistics, etc. And both these institutions are driven by our dynamic executive director, Wing Commander PVC Patil, retired, and the director of our DY Patil Institute of Management Studies, Mr. Ashutosh. So this is one of the special initiatives taken up by DY Patil Pratishthan, which probably endeavors in providing some extra knowledge with industry experts like Mr. Himanshu. And this will be a continuous process. Every fortnight we try and arrange one session so that the students do get knowledge and information and learn something which is over and above the syllabus. So welcome once again to all the participants. And just to introduce Mr. Himanshu, he is a BI architect with an organization called UA Brands, and he has close to or more than 10 years of experience. And to let you know more about him, he has worked on many projects and technologies. RDBMS SQL TechNet Guru, certified statistics professional. And then he loves physics, maths, and economics. Obviously, I mean, somebody who's there in the business intelligence, he has to have good, knowledge as well as interest. Unless you have an interest, you cannot have knowledge. That is, I know that much for sure. His hobbies are reading, music, movie, and adventure sports. Nice to hear that and know that adventure sports is one of the hobbies. Very less number of people have that hobby, adventure sports, because that involves high level of risk. And he's currently learning movie making and direction. And he is passionate about deep learning project involving TensorFlow, Scikit, and then Keras, CV, and MS SQL and SQL embedded. Also, I mean, he has got very good large exposure to BI and then SAS and then Power BI tools, etc. and all. And once again, Mr. Himanshu, welcome to the on live webinar, and you can say hi to all the participants.
All right, thank you, Keshav. Thank you for your kind words. I believe Manish have trained you well. All right. Good afternoon, guys. Good evening. If somebody is attending from abroad, I'm not sure. Practically all of these students are from India, right?
Most probably all of them are from India, but then if somebody has referred to someone from overseas, then he is most welcome.
All right. All right. So, guys, good afternoon once again. Myself, Himanshu Sharma. Mr. Keshav have given you few feedbacks and few learnings and few pointers on what I have done in my past. So just to quickly summarize it, I have more than 10 years of experience in business intelligence and connected domains and connected technologies. These days, you might be hearing a lot about data science and statistics and whatnot, machine learning, deep learning, a lot of these things. But in the end, eventually boils down to business intelligence and its applications. So today, what we're going to do is that my planning was that I'll be showing you a PPT, which I've actually prepared for you guys. But unfortunately, I could not connect the application Zoom via my laptop. Both of my laptop crashed thanks to Zoom. It kept on crashing my audio driver, so I just couldn't connect my audio. So this time, what we're gonna do is that I'm just gonna open the floor for all of you guys, for you to understand that what does business intelligence brings to you in terms of your career growth and personal understanding in terms of if you do love it or if you don't love it, then what should you do about it. So the floor is yours, guys. I'm open for all the questions, any concerns, any confusion which you might have. I believe that you are actually pursuing your graduation right now. So your most major concern would be to land a job. And having said that, now the floor is yours, guys. Please shoot. Thank you. I see that a lot of people are joining. We have, what is BI actually? Okay, so if somebody's asking a question, I would like to unmute yourself and ask that question to me verbally instead of looking at the, like I have to look at the chat. The thing is this, I'm on a very tiny glass keyboard and tiny glass screen. It's my iPhone, a very small one, like 10s. So the screen is not that huge and I cannot keep going through the chat and the video stream again and again. So please unmute yourself and ask a question. This time would be an exception. Somebody did ask, what is BI? That's an interesting question, but I'm assuming that all of you guys are actually pursuing your graduation in any of the technical field. Is my assumption right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So what are these technical fields? Computer science, electronics, information technology, mechanical, what is it?
Computer and IT.
Computer and IT. Okay, it's a mix and match.
Mech as well. Mechanical as well.
Mech as well. So that's also good because mech people are really good with mathematics because a lot of equations, a lot of functions. Data science and
Yeah.
business intelligence will come natural to all the mech guys. Mechanical guys will love it because there is a lot of data science in mechanical world, a lot of deep learning, and a lot of machine learning as well.
Yeah,
So to
Himanshu,
answer
just to
the
put in a,
yeah,
just to
Keshav,
put in
please
a
go
word,
ahead.
the participants are drawn from various fields. Okay.
Okay,
So we have mixed and matched the batches. Some
okay,
students have already completed their training and all, right?
okay,
Some are undergoing the training. One is finishing you, and some are undergoing the post graduation, right? Okay. And we have also invited alumni. Okay. So looking at, and they are coming from fields like CS, IT, mechanical, electrical and communication, ENTC, and also there are some management students as well. So just to give you a brief, this is the combination of participants who are there.
that's good. We have a diversified crowd. I love that, like our country. So, um, so that's good. So to answer the question of what is business intelligence, first you have to understand what is the simple term. Let's break the terms. First is business, second is intelligence. So business is something which is self-explanatory. You need to do something. You want to create your own business. You know what does that mean. But what does intelligence is? So you obviously want to do something intelligently, right? You don't want to do anything stupid when you're opening your business. Unfortunately, a lot of people do, but that's how what life is. People end up doing mistakes, but we have to learn from it. But when we start learning from our mistakes based on the common sense, what we call it as a common sense learning. But assume it this way, that you have certain set of data points. Now these data points, you feed it into a system, and the system gives you an output in terms of a learning. So what you just did, you fed the data to a system fed the data out to you, and you learn from that data. You just achieved a very simple explanation of what is business intelligence. To give you another application in terms of sports, which will actually give you an idea that what business intelligence can be or is already is, how many of the people on the floor has actually seen a movie called Chak De India? It was a very famous movie long time back by Shah Rukh Khan, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you guys like recall the first hockey match between, I guess, India and Australia?
Yes, sir.
All right. So what happens in that movie is that when India was actually losing, you must have seen, or if you recall, if any one of you recall, you can actually back me up, that during the scene when the scene was being played, the assistant to the Australian coach, what she does is she gives a paper, she hands a paper to the Australian coach, which has all the markings of the players. Did anybody thought or anybody have actually seen that happening in true games, such as if somebody follows basketball or volleyball or cricket for that matter, that coaches are handed papers in the middle of the game? A lot of times some manager comes or some personal assistant comes, they hand the papers to the coach, and then coach reads it and then takes next action. Did anybody thought that what is written on that paper?
Sir, can I tell?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So they are giving the stats of previous matches or
Okay.
previous innings.
Okay, that's a nice answer. Please state your name.
Prakash Bora, sir.
Prakash. All right, Prakash. Prakash, first, do not please call me sir. My name is Himanshu. So
Okay.
just address me as Himanshu.
Okay.
So Prakash, in the movie, it was the first game between, or practically the first game India was playing abroad in the women's hockey team, right?
Yes.
So there was no history attached to it.
Okay.
And if there was a history, the whole complete history, the entire history was bad. India never played it that well.
Yes.
So the idea of history, no doubt, it's an amazing thought. And it happens a lot of time that business intelligence is driven by the historical approaches. But in that game, what was happening is that the paper had the real-time analytics of the player's movement, that which player is actually passing the ball to which player and who is not.
Okay.
So when the center forward was not passing the ball to the left forward, it was actually on that paper, because there was a system which you must have heard of something called Arduino or embedded systems.
Yes, it's embedded system.
Embedded, yeah. So there is something called a SPARF 365. Then you have Arduino. You have a lot of these processors who can actually process images real time, videos real time, and come up with a conclusion.
Okay.
You see what happened.
Yes,
All
sir.
of this was actually just the data and an outcome coming out of it. And if you can learn from that outcome, if you can implement certain form of intelligence to that outcome, then that's business intelligence.
Okay.
It can be achieved in anything. If you go to a general store, if general store guy sees you that you are actually, if you are regular to the general store guy, right? You must have a general store next to you. If you're regular to that guy, he sees you that you're coming, he sees you from 100 meters, he just bring out what you regularly take, right? You buy, let's say you buy a pack of cigarettes. So the moment he sees you, he brings the packet out and keep it on the counter. That's
So
a common sense intelligence.
that's real-time analysis, we can say.
Can you please repeat?
So that's a real-time analysis of the particular situation.
Yes. So see, first you have to understand what is business intelligence. I believe I was able to give you a brief idea of what business intelligence is. That you have set of data, you apply certain algorithms, an output comes. Now you just use that output. That's basic definition of business intelligence. Now, what you're talking about is real time. That's practically an application of business intelligence. That real time analytics, like we see in sports. Let's take the India example, right? If anybody follows basketball, then you would notice that this happened very, very frequently in a basketball game. Like it happens practically every 5th or 6th minute. The coach has been handed over, the manager has been handed over the sheets every 5th or 6th minute. It's like that. Now, can you imagine the processor and the computing power of the system who is actually live, who's actually computing a live feed every 5th minute?
Okay.
So there's another example of that. What else, guys? That was an amazing question, guys. Whoever asked me that question, kudos to that. I see some Chetan joined. Welcome, Chetan.
So, okay, sir, is it possible that maybe you can read the titles of your PPT? Like, just we'll get an idea of what you are going to speak, so we can, articulate a discussion over it.
Okay, so before I do that, I'm more of a. Okay, please. Who is this? First of all, can you please tell me your name?
I'm Omkar, and
Omkar.
because business intelligence for us is, I don't know for others, but for me, it's kind of a vague term right now, and I'm not sure what comes into it, right? So,
Okay.
I mean, what it revolves around us. So, maybe a few titles would help us.
That's a good idea, Omkar. But before I do that, can you please tell me your background, that what you do, what you're doing right now?
I am a mixed student, but I've passed out 2 years ago, and in the meanwhile, I've done quite a lot of things. So,
Okay.
yeah, I've tried taking classes for school students, and
Mm-hmm.
I've tried working on a few projects with friends, and I've
What
also
are these
worked at a
projects?
company.
Are these
Yeah,
technical projects?
yeah, they were
Okay.
technical projects, but then they didn't work out well. I
That
mean,
doesn't matter.
they fell apart. Yeah,
That doesn't matter. Failure is another step to success. So don't worry.
Okay, so one was home automation project, and
Nice.
yeah.
Okay, so you have a little bit of tech background. You understand how programming works.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really good to know. So you are practically confused about what is business intelligence, and if you know business intelligence, then you're confused about what actually comprises the whole entire universe of BI, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever used Excel, Microsoft Excel?
Yes, but I'm
Okay,
aware that I have not used it like, I mean, professionally. I mean,
that is okay, but you have used it,
just used
right?
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Amateur.
So
Amateur.
now since you've used it, you know what is a row, what is a column, what is a data point,
Yeah. Yes.
right? Okay. Now park this idea. Just make an image of a row, column, a table, tabular structure, and park this thought process in your mind. Now let's get back to our 10th standard mathematics and 12th standard graduation mathematics, our high school mathematics and senior high school.
Okay.
So you do recall something called as set theory and functions.
Yes.
A function, can you explain? Like if you
Uh,
were to explain to
uh,
somebody what is a function?
yeah. A function is something that takes an output and takes an input and gives a certain kind of output. I mean, different functions give different outputs. So uh, it's like it's
For an example, fx equals to x plus 1,
fine. Yeah. So
right?
fx is equal to x plus 1. So if we give it input as 1, it will output 2. And so it's a linear function. If you give it input as 2, it will output 3. That,
Right.
yeah.
Now let's make this function a little complex. This was a very 10th class, like not
Yes.
10th class, it was practically a kindergarten class mathematics, x plus 1, right? So let's make it complex because we all of are techies. So now if I give you a function which is a derivative of another function, let's call fx equals to f dash y, another variable. Now this variable in world of let's take an example. Do you smoke?
No, I
You
have
don't
tried,
smoke,
but
but
not now. Yeah, I don't smoke regularly. Yeah.
good, you shouldn't smoke. It's not healthy. But you have friends who smoke.
Yes.
All right. Now you must have heard that smoking is not like good for health. It's obviously injurious.
Yeah.
Now what's happening here is that if smoking is injurious, then it's practically reducing your life age, right? It's practically reducing. Every time you smoke, it reduces your life,
Sir,
right?
you
Is that
have
right?
disconnected, I guess. Not disconnected, but you're lagging. I cannot hear you.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Hello.
Omkar, can you hear me now? Hello?
I think he have some network issue. You are audible
I
to
believe
everyone.
he has some network issue, Himanshu.
Okay, so
We can hear
everyone
you.
else can hear me.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
sir.
can hear
Yes, sir.
you. We can.
Yeah, yes,
I
Okay,
sir.
got
so
disconnected. I'm sorry.
hey Omkar, you're back. Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, Omkar. So we were discussing functions, right? Okay, so I'm assuming that you can hear me. If not, then probably we can note these pointers down and send this information to Omkar. I'll continue on this note. So we have a function, and a function, let's say that fx equals to x plus 1. We started with that, but let's make it a little bit complex. Let me use trigonometry. Fx equals to sine x. Whenever we supply a value of x, sine x gives us a very good, neat little wave, up and down, up and down, up and down, and we can plot that on a simple Cartesian graph. Now what's happening here is we are actually giving an input to a function, it gives us an output. Now remove this function with an algorithm. Just instead of a sin x, make it complex if you can. The example which I was taking as a smoker's example is that whenever a smoker smokes a cigarette, his lifespan is reduced. So if we were to write an equation in the variable of the age of a person, number of cigarettes he smoked, can somebody help me out? How many variables are here and how will this function look like? Anyone? Directly proportional from Sonali Nikan. Directly proportional. It's actually inversely proportional. The more you smoke, the less you live. No need to say sorry. You were actually close. just reverse close. Okay, so yes, proportional, obviously it will be proportional, but what is it? Is it a linear variable? It's an exponential variable? What kind of polynomial are we looking at? Any idea, guys? Non-linear exponential. Okay. So the fact is that we don't know if it is exponential or not. We just don't know that. So you do realize what's an exponential function, whoever actually said that? Hello? Mr. Anurag Mahajan, yeah, you do realize exponential. Would you please care to explain? Anurag, you there?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So you said it's an exponential function, right?
Yes, sir, because you said it's inversely proportional. So that term comes like 1 upon some
Okay.
factor. Actually, it is not an exponential.
It's a polynomial
I
function.
get that
We
now. I
just
made a
don't know.
mistake.
It's okay, not a
Yes.
problem. It's a polynomial function with an inverse degree. Right, we just don't know
correct.
what degree it is, because unless we do some certain kind of survey, let's say that we survey 100,000 people, that how many do they smoke in one day, how long they have lived in past, something like that, then we can come up with a variable. But the fact is that we are 7 billion people, and we cannot actually pinpoint a single algorithm which will tell us that if you smoke X number of cigarettes, you will die at the age of Y. We just cannot, right? Because
Yes.
biology doesn't work that way. Now, what business
Yes, it's
intelligence
complex.
helps us with? Exactly. It's not only complex, it's practically impossible, because the carbon particles, which is carbon monoxide in a cigarette, it reacts to every individual differently. It might react to you very sooner. It might react to me in a later stage or early stage, or whatever the condition of my physical health is. I have seen people who have been smoking for like 80 years and they are still fit and fine. Then I keep hearing stories about people who are smoking and they die at the age of 30, 35. So there is no exact connection over there, right? But what business intelligence data analytics can give us is that we can at least give a probabilistic distribution of this enumeration. You understand probability? You understand the distribution?
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Akash said it's
So
in
we
daily
are,
intake. Yeah, please go
so
ahead.
that means we are relying on statistics, numbers
We
that
are relying on stats.
are that we got from numerous studies done on smokers, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So Akash is actually interested in how many cigarettes I smoke. Akash, first you spell cigarette wrong, and that's a personal question.
Yeah, sir. So that's spell mistake.
Sorry, come again.
Yes. That's my spelling mistake,
Okay.
right, sir? I understand that.
Yeah, I know you understand. Not like you're a techie man, you understand these things. But that was a personal question, and I do smoke.
No,
my
it's not.
fair
No,
share.
it's not. No. I'm not asking, sir. I'm giving the answer. You said that the 88 people were not died. So it's on the intake, means how many cigarettes they are taking daily, or they're taking 2 or 3 packets, or they're taking only 1 or 2. It's depend on them.
Right. So you
Yeah.
do realize that how many variables comes into this picture. This function is not a simple function of x and y. It's a function of many variables, and even after like 10 or 20 variables, we might miss a variable 21st, 22nd. So there is no exact science towards it, right? A lot of times you must have seen that we have predicted this and this, but that prediction never happens. Why does it so? If somebody has predicted something, I'm not talking about all the Jyotishis and Babas, that's all fake, don't get into that. I'm talking about real prediction based on historical data analysis. What machine learning does for us, what deep learning does for us.
Like weather forecasting.
Like weather
Yes, sir.
forecasting.
Okay.
And a lot of times weather forecasting goes wrong, that whenever they are saying it's going to rain, it never rains. But are they stupid?
70
Like,
to 80%.
Sir,
yeah, but are they
predicting
stupid?
stocks.
Predicting stocks, that's an amazing example. That's a very good
Yes.
example of real-time data analytics.
Yes, sir.
Can somebody tell me how prediction of stock works?
So asteroid collision.
Asteroid collision. That's a very simple and straightforward prediction, because the thing is this: we know our solar system, we know how many gravitational objects are there, what is the gravitational path of each object. So we can actually predict an asteroid if it has passed us, let's say, 80 years back. The thing is this: physics is simple, it's straightforward. That the elliptical trajectory which an asteroid is taking, it's not going to change unless a new external object actually acts force of gravity on it. So we can predict Earth Earth's position 100,000 years in future. That Earth 100,000 years in future will be at this position, because it's straightforward. You put these numbers in an equation, all the variables are known, unless a new black hole has been created or a new star or Jupiter is like something crazy happens. Unless these factors remains constant, we can predict these things. But the interesting example, an interesting thing which I would like to know more about is stocks prediction, share market. Does anybody want to talk about that?
So maybe I think it is
So
based on technical analysis.
Dude, that's a very vague answer. Everything is about technical analysis.
It depends totally on the company you're investing. It depends on many other factors. If there's a good news coming up, if there's a bonus that is the company is giving dividends, everything actually plays a role in a stock in general.
Okay.
So
who is this?
This is Vivek. Vivek.
All right.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Vivek. That's a good answer, Vivek. Have you seen a movie called Limitless?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so I believe your answer is coming from that perspective.
No, actually, I have traded some
Okay.
stocks in the past. I'm not doing it right now, but yeah, I have some experience. That's the reason that I actually could relate. And along with that, I actually have done some courses in data analytics. So there are some variables that I could understand that actually implies on the stock values, like the historical data as well as the current situation along with the future situation that the particular company has. So it all the things complies and gives us a estimate, or we can say like a prediction that yes, this particular stock will go up in next 10 days, something like that.
But you do realize that these predictions are arithmetical predictions. These are not emotional predictions.
Yes.
All right. So stock market is something which is really tricky. The data analytics of stock market is not straightforward, because here comes the question of emotions. For example, let's say that a company CEO has been actually booked for insiders trading. All right. Now, common sense and basic arithmetic tells us, based on the variables and the inputs which we have already given, is that if a CEO of a company has been booked for insider trading, the stock market is going to go down. At least for that company, the market cap is going to go down. But imagine this way, that all of a sudden, the moment that news hit the market, 1 billion people went crazy and they are still investing in the company. Stock market goes up, right? So arithmetic didn't help us here. Did you get my example?
Totally agree. Yes, I totally agree, because human emotion does play a huge role in stock market.
And that's something which we cannot control in terms of arithmetics. But here comes the question of manipulation. This is actually this discussion is actually going a little bit different from business intelligence, but as a common sense, you guys must know that a lot of stock market is actually derived by manipulations of these brokers and traders who practically manipulate your thoughts, telling you that this is going to go up. And if 100,000 people start investing in it, automatically stocks is going to go up. Because more you invest, the more the market capital, the more the stock value. Do you follow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think we have covered a lot of business intelligence basics and what are the different applications of business intelligence. What do you feel, guys? Like, any more questions? I keep seeing somebody actually mentioned NZT. I believe Limitless fans are here. Nothing, guys? Okay, then let me ask you guys a question. What do you guys think about master data management and data quality? Akash, you want to explain that cigarette example? Please go ahead.
No, sir, no, sir. I just said that it's just misunderstanding that it's what I can say. You heard
You're
like
breaking. You're
yeah,
breaking up, Akash.
wait, is now I'm audible properly now?
You're
I'm
audible, but you have to complete your statement for me to understand if you're breaking up.
Okay, it's just misunderstanding, sir. That's what I want to
Okay.
clear. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because
chill. I was just kidding around. I was pulling your leg. I don't mind that question. I was a student, man. I was a techie. I'm still a techie, and I was a graduate once, like 10 years, 11, 12 years back. I don't know when. So I understand when just chill.
no, it was not a personal question. I'm just explaining that, sir. That's why I
Cool, I
written that.
get that.
Yeah, yeah, it's misunderstanding.
Yeah, I get that. It's
Sorry for
okay,
that, sir.
Akash. No problem. Not a problem, Akash. It's okay. What else, Akash? Tell me something different, not an apology. Tell me what is on your mind about business intelligence. What do you do, Akash?
So we completed in electrical engineering in 2019.
2019, okay.
Yeah, and I done job for 5 months in sports company.
In a sports company.
Yeah, software analysis. So I analysis basketball, volleyball, then soccer, then American
That's
football.
really interesting. So
Means
what technology do you
all
use?
USS group. Sorry, sir?
Which technologies are you using? And what kind of analysis you do?
We do what means if in volleyball we are having one rally. It's
Okay.
called as a one rally. So we have to tag what happened in that rally. Either it is what we can serve, then they dig or attack. What happened in that? That just we have to tag that. And in a basketball,
Yeah.
he attempted 3-pointer or 2-pointer, or he gave some foul that we have to tag.
Right. So people who follow sports, like I'm not a cricket fan. Please don't kill me for that. But like I'm a fan of football. I'm a fan of basketball and
Football points.
volleyball. Yeah. So people who follow sports, they must have seen that the intelligence, the world of entertainment, in the world of sports, have grown so far that we are getting so realistic analytics coming out of the game while the game is happening. Like I was watching this game a few days back between. It was an old game, but I could see the analytics that while the bowler was actually bowling the ball, the video just paused and the commentators were talking about if the ball would have gone an in swinger, if it would have been out swinger, if it would have been a flipper, if it would have been a googly that he's actually Google sorry, not Google, if he had actually thrown a googly in terms of a slower ball. So the analytics, it just flipped me out, like so realistic, so real time. And think about this, that it's all happening live. The delay between the player and the feed which we get is less than 7 seconds, because 7 seconds is practically the distance between the stadium, then the satellite engine to the satellite, then coming to the satellite engine back, and then to a TV. So this whole relay is like less than 7 seconds. So everything is happening in 7 seconds, man. Can you guys understand the complexity of this thing and the beauty of it? Everything, all analysis in 7 seconds. How realistic? What kind of computation power it would have been? Like if somebody have in future uh, a situation where they might end up in a sports office, a media office, such as like I had this luxury of being in Star Sports for 6 months, and I knew that how I know that how Star Sports worked and how all of these graphics are being attached and been thrown to the customer as a viewer, and it all so quick, and everything is business intelligence driven. Obviously, there are different applications of business intelligence. Some is data discovery, some is data mining, some is data pattern recognition, which is part of data mining, then data quality. And in this case, the data is practically the video and the image feed. So now you know that data is not only just rows and tables, it's practically anything. It could be JSON, it could be Mongo, it could be RDBMS, it could be video feeds, image feeds, passage, essays, anything at all.
So you just said on basketball, this coach used to change the paper after each 6 minutes. or 5 minutes, depend on him. So I think personally, it is only for to check the position of the opponent and to analyze how they are playing and how they are attacking, how they are defending. So that's why for analysis purpose, the coach used to means exchange the paper for analysis purpose.
Which is right. Yes, which is right. But what is that analysis? Analysis of what? See, what happens is whenever coach is actually talking to his team, they have something called as formulation. The formulation is the plan that how the team will attack, which member is going to attack, which member is going to defend. And they keep changing it game by game. Obviously, the opponent coach does not know this because all of this happened inside a room which was secret, practically, which is called as a camp in the terms of basketball. It happened in the camp of, let's say, Lakers camp. And the coach is actually, Tyson is actually talking to his team, and then he's telling that this is the formulation, and this formation will actually go with this formulation. This player is going to attack, this player is going to defend. Now, all of this has to be analyzed using systems which practically are used by opponent's coach. And opponent's coach are practically seeing, okay, this man is marked with this player, this man is not marked, this man is flyer, this man is a Spider-Man, this man is a Batman. That's how it's happening. But all of this are happening real time. So this is the beauty of business intelligence. This how far we have actually gained our understanding in terms of technology, that earlier when coaches used to watch, I don't know if you guys have actually seen something called as VCR. It was a video cassette recorder, and it used to have reels, a magnetic tape, a ferromagnetic tape, and it used to be rolled across two big what do you call the wheels, and we used to watch it. So we used to watch that VCR video records for hours and hours and hours and come up with a conclusion of 2 minutes. So like 10 hours of video recording, when you will see that feed and you will come up with a conclusion of 2 minutes. Okay, player A is never marked by player B. Now, all of this happens in matter of seconds. So you can see the leap, the growth in the world of business intelligence. So now if anybody is thinking that what's the future of business intelligence, the answer would be that BI is the future. It's just that you have to be very careful about the application of BI you choose to work in. You should love that. BI involves a lot of mathematics, a lot of physics, a lot of economics, a lot of machine learning, a lot of Python. These days it's Python. Earlier in my days, it used to be R. But technology keeps on changing, so don't think about the programming language, just focus on the concepts. So you have to choose these things carefully if you want to focus on BI and actually make your career out of it. I think my answer was not confusing. It was clear to you guys.
Yes, it was clear.
Okay. All right, what else, guys? Who else? Other questions or any form of confusion or concerns about
Himanshu,
Yes,
Keshav here.
Yes, Keshav.
So I just wanted you to throw light on OLAP if you can.
That's a nice question, OLAP.
One and
Okay.
second, and how BI can relate, or how it can help in sharing information or prediction of the current COVID crisis.
Okay.
Yeah, the real time
Really good
actually.
system. Really good system. So first, OLAP. I'm not sure how this audience will take OLAP, because to understand OLAP, which is online analytical processing systems, you have to understand what our analytics processing systems are and what kind of different engines are there in market. So to give you in a layman example, in a very simple example or definition, and OLAP is practically, the full form is online analytical processing system. Now it has to always be online, because if it's offline, obviously it cannot work. So I don't know why they call it online. It always has to be online. But that's how the definition has been for past 20, 25 years. So we are just following that. Now what's happening in an OLAP? You have set of data tables. Let's say, let me think of a good example. Okay, let's talk about revenues of a company. Now, revenues of a company are practically driven by sales. Sales are practically driven by low cost, and also driven by number of quantities a singular item or multiple items have been sold. So all of this information have to reside somewhere, right? Now it has to reside. Let's take an example of SQL. Excuse me. Let's take an example of SQL Server. Now you have sales information, geography information, time information, employee information, and a lot of different information residing in different tables. Now, all of these tables, they have to combine into one singular data structure, and that data structure will feed its whole entire schema to something called as a reporting services. Now, reporting services could be anything. Now, this data structure, what is it? It's practically an aggregation, a summation of all of the different underlying children being the geography, the sales, the revenues, the tables, the employees, the customers, number of orders, number of products, number of SKUs, the inventory available, practically everything summarized into one simple structure, which is called as an OLAP, Online Analytical Processing System. And in the world of Microsoft, we call it Cube. In the world of SAP, we call it universes. In the world of open source, we call it data warehouses or data marts or data centers or data lakes, different terminology with actually very big difference in all of these terms, but practically they are one and the same. When you query this whole system, right, that system is called a cube or a universe or a data mart or a data system or data center. But how do you query it? You query it using an OLAP engine. To query it, the languages are different. Every company have different language, like Microsoft have MDX, multidimensional expressions. Universe has, like SAP has, I don't recall, it has .bex. So yeah, .bex is practically Java-driven language. MDX is a completely different expression language. So to summarize everything, an OLAP is an engine which queries the summarizes data, and summarizes data is nothing but the summary of all of the underlying data sets kept into one singular schema structure, which then feed the information to the reports. So for example, if we were to analyze my sales in last 24 hours, so you need that system, my sales in last 24 hours in Pune. Then you need the geography, like where the sales were. You need the count of number of products which were sold. You need the revenue, you need the sales put into one system. And where will you put it? In the data warehouse. How will you query it? Using an OLAP engine. How will you see it? Using a reporting engine. That reporting engine could be anything: Tableau, ClickView, Sisense, Dundas, Power BI, custom reports, SSRS, SAP BobJ, anything, whatever you want. Doesn't matter. But the concept is very simple. Underlying schema, summary schema, then the reports. That I guess that answers OLAP. Mr. Keshav, you had the second question. Can you please repeat that?
This was regarding to the COVID crisis. So can BI predict when it will end or how it will subsidize?
Okay, that's a very nice question. So BI alone cannot predict COVID crisis. No, it cannot, because the number of parameters in the arguments applied to this function are so many that BI alone cannot do that. So what we need to bring here right now is machine learning and deep learning. That's an amazing injection to business intelligence. So what basically machine learning and deep learning does, for me to explain that to you, first I need to understand how well versed my audience is with something called as neural network. Does folks in the crowd knows or understand neural network?
Yes,
Participants can put it in the chat.
Just heard the name, but not really versed with it.
Okay. How well versed, or if not well versed, do you understand the concept of machine learning or deep learning? Have you heard of these terms?
Yes, sir, can I say neural network means when we use term machine learning, that means training something to the machine by doing some own. Neural network is like a brain, if we have brain in so many cells, so we can store something on that small cell. So neural network, just like this, we are storing something. If we get input like this, then react like this. Something like this, something like that.
Okay.
So, sorry, so I actually saw a video. It was done by a company who
Before you
incorporated.
explain, guys, I would request you to start your answer with your name, please, so that I know whom am I addressing to. This is Vivek. Yes, Vivek,
Yes,
please
sir.
go ahead.
So, sir, I actually had read an article and a video of that particular article some couple of months back. So it was some university who actually trained this system using machine learning, neural networks, and some other process. I don't recall that one. So they wanted to see how well the system adapts. So there was a target where there were two pawns and there were two other, you can say, two enemies and two friendlies. So the ultimate goal was to destroy the enemies. So they actually started the engine, the machine learning. They feeded the machine learning codes to the system on how they can attack, and by each level they had certain difficulties where the enemies could hide. So ultimately, the machine developed using neural networking, and they actually were surprised that machine could actually learn so much things with the experience using neural network that even at the difficult stage where it was almost impossible to catch the enemy, they actually destroyed it. There was this research was done by some foreign university. I don't recall the university, it's in US. So in that way, I know what neural networks and machine learning actually is.
That's a good example, Vivek. Thank you for sharing. But I was going for a very simple example for audience. Like, what can somebody explain very simple, very layman, what is machine learning? It could be wrong. You don't have to worry about that. Don't be concerned that will I be wrong or not. Just say it. Speak your mind. What do you think machine learning is?
Sir, I'm Omkar, and I'll give it a try. So
yes, Omkar.
We give the machine a certain restrictions, constraints, and a goal to follow. So its job is to stay within the constraints or rules and find the most, efficient way to accomplish the goal. Actually, not the most efficient way, but it will first try to reach the goal, and it will keep failing, and it will learn from its mistakes, and there will be models, and some of the models will be closer to the goal, and maybe there is a way to measure it, whether it is close to the goal or not, and whichever was the closest, that will be iterated upon or improved upon. So that's, I don't know. I've seen those videos. So like there are generations that improve. By each generation, the model keeps improving. That's what.
Okay. So thank you, Omkar, for sharing. I believe all of the answers which, who's this?
Sir, this is Vishakha.
Yes, Vishakha.
Sir, machine learning, I think just like as a baby, how it learn from previous experience. That means we are giving to some input, it processes and then give us an output. And sir, talk about a neural network, it just like as a human brains, how our neural work. Same here, the neural network also work. In deep learning, I think 3 layers: input, output, and some hidden layers. In the hidden layers, actually, all the process happens and then give us some outputs.
Okay, that's actually a good technical definition. You did go into the input layer and the hidden layer and the output layer, but machine learning by itself is by using parse. Rahul, you wanna speak out? Rahul, you did posted something in the chat, but my chat is going so fast I can't follow it. So can you please speak up?
Sir, actually, it's a learning of machine by itself by providing some data sets. After that, we check accuracy of machine by using passing some data sets. If it's working fine, then we will use that algorithm for the something prediction or checking or sort of things. If it's not working fine, then we will pass another data set for its learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Have anybody played video games? I guess everyone has in their lives once or more than that.
Yes, sir.
Video games, you have played that. Which video game you guys have played? Like, what do you think? Like, most famous every time you have played? Like, my entire childhood was about reading comic books and like playing video games. So, I'm a huge fan of video games. So, tell me, which video game did you like in your childhood?
Mario, Road Rash, Contra.
Mario, man. Contra, yeah. Contra was good.
Aladdin.
The GTA Vice City.
Okay, GTA. This guy is from
A little modern.
2003.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm actually talking about more of the vintage games. Mario is one of the vintage games. GTA Vice City are very new. Like I'm old guys, so please bear with me. So Mario, Contra, all of these, always in the end they had a boss level, right? Remember the boss level?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. So it was always difficult for us to beat the boss. Like we have to try multiple attempts, take multiple attempts at it to beat that boss. Why it was like the Chotu Motu guys of the game were very easy to kill, but it was very difficult to actually defeat the boss. Why do you think so?
Because the smaller guys were easier to predict. Maybe. I mean,
They
their
were
pattern.
coded that way. That's yes.
Yeah.
They were coded that way.
Yeah.
See, the smaller guys, they did not have multiple moves. So they were not given multiple moves for them to actually attack us and kill us. Okay, our moves were better than our character moves were better than those smaller guys' moves. But the boss could move in a very different fashion because they were moved and they were programmed that way. Right?
True.
Very simple understanding of how a video game works, right? You program more moves into a boss, it makes it us more difficult to kill him or her. Gender bias.
Yes.
So uh, so so think about it this way. Now we practically programmed it, right? Human beings programmed it. It didn't happen by itself.
Yes.
Right. Now think about an amazing Super Mario game or a super intelligent game where the boss learn itself. Like every time you make a new move, probably at that time he will be defeated, but you will never be able to defeat him with the same move again because he just learned that move.
Yes.
It's practically a ninja, like he's a super warrior ninja. You beat him once, but you would never be able to beat him again because now he knows your move.
Yeah, it's like playing with a brother.
Right. So what he did, he just learned from you, right? He failed and then he learned, and now he will succeed.
Yeah.
Do you follow, guys?
Yes, sir.
That's very basic example of very visual example of how machine learning works. What machine learning is practically is that it's again, let's go back to our basics, 10 standard and 12 standard basics. It's a function based programming. Now that function could be anything. Now if I tell a machine that if the input is 1, blink red light. If the input is 0, blink green light. Very simple coding, right? Very simple embedded coding. All you have to do is 3 soldering and 1 microcontroller and 1 processor. You're done. Very simple programming. Done in 3 registers. That's it. 1 and probably 1 transistor. Yeah. So you understand, like if it's 1, blink red. If it's 0, blink green. Now, if I keep throwing ones and zeros to this machine, it will always give me either red or green, right?
Correct.
Right. What happens if I keep throwing up higher positive numbers and a lower negative numbers, probably the whole real number scale? What happens if I give it 10?
It may blow up.
It won't do anything because it's not programmed that way.
Yes.
Right. But what happens? Somebody, I think, I forgot her name. One miss actually explained the concept of hidden layers. And she was talking about hidden layers. So what happens if I add a function here, which actually transform any input either in 1 or 0? So what if I write this? If x is greater than 0, 1, else 0. So whatever we give, either it's 1 or 0. Do you follow?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So in n number of inputs, we will throw n number of inputs to our machine. It will either convert to 1 or 0. So that's our hidden layer. That's a function. This function is called as activation function, which if you guys have studied a little bit about machine learning, you must have read these terms such as linear function, ReLU function, sigmoid, softmax. A lot of them are actually in market. More than 25, 30 activation functions are there. You can create your own activation function if you're really good in Python. So this is what we just did is we created an activation function that if x is greater than 0, throw 1. If x is less than 0, throw 0. All right. And now we are training our machine with n number of variables. It will always give us 1 or 0. Now think about it this way, that if our output was not just green light or red light, if our output was all the whole visible spectrum of our light, like from the violet to the infrared, the whole spectrum based on how variation we have. So if it's a higher number, we are throwing a violet. If it's a lower number, we are throwing red, something like that. If we do that, then we are practically training a machine to by itself understand how big the number is. But it doesn't know that. It doesn't know if 10,000 is bigger, or if the next entry is 11,000. It doesn't know that, right? So if I throw 20,000 to that machine and it all of a sudden gives me violet, now there is nothing above violet, right? Now all of a sudden I give it 100,000. Now what will it do? It will still show violet, but if next time you show 20,000, if you throw 20,000 to it, now it won't show violet. It will show something in the lower region because it has learned itself. We have made the machine to make it learn itself that, oh, I've already gotten a new bigger number. So the previous bigger number is no longer the biggest number.
Sir, is
Do
it
you guys follow?
backpropagation?
Perfect. Yes, that's perfect example. How do you understand backpropagation? I'm not using these terms because I don't want you to be like, just what is happening. So what I just say is practically understanding of how backpropagation works. And it is also called as cross-validation and k-means, but I don't want to get into technicalities of these things. I just want to explain the concepts of this. Now let's get back to our actual question, that how to predict COVID crisis. The reason why I deviated from the answer is that first I wanted you guys to understand that what is machine learning is, what deep learning is, what business intelligence is. And one thing which I missed is neural networks. Somebody actually explained that a neural network are used for storing things. Neural networks never store things. They are just there to process things. They process and they're free. They are not storage medias. They don't store information. They are just there. Think about it as a register. If somebody has actually done a basic level programming of embedded, we had these microcontroller 8051. When we used to program that, move A, B, move B negative, then A automation, then A negative, then finally move A, B to C, if somebody recall all of that. Right, so we used to do that. So we are not assembly level code. I see that. Anurag Madan, thank you, Anurag. It's called assembly level code. So the complete concept is embedded programming. Now, what we did there is that we are not storing things, we're just processing things as fast as possible. In a register, you cannot store an essay or a whole web page. You cannot, because these are not storing medias. They are just there for faster processing. So now we understand what a neural network is. A neural network is practically how a brain neural network looks like. It has an input layer where you gives the input. It has a lot of hidden layers. It practically does our computations, our changes. It applies our algorithms. And based on top of that algorithm, we have our activation functions. And then finally, we have an output layer. That becomes, you can think about that, one dot connected to two circles, and then two circles connected to three circles each. And then all of these circles finally connected to one circle. So 1 to 1, and in the middle, you have the hidden layer. Now let's predict COVID crisis. What do you think? How can we predict COVID crisis? Or let's not predict, first understand what is COVID crisis? And if we were to predict COVID crisis, what we have to do? Let's understand that. Can somebody give me some insight? What are your thoughts about it?
Sir, Akash here, sir.
Yes, Akash.
So means we have to what we have to do analysis, right? First
yes,
we have to
analysis
first we have to collect the data, right?
Okay.
Means the age-wise data, means how many people get affected in this age, why they are getting affected, their medical history and report, and then we have to create all that data. We have to analyze that, and we have to predict that, means how we can stop that, means how we can protect this particular age group. We have to divide the age group, and accordingly we have to plan so to the different age group by analyzing things. Means suppose the age group is 60 to 80 and they're having a lot of medical issues. So how we can control or how we can stop corona, means how we can avoid it to those people.
Okay,
So
that's a
that
really
we can
good try,
face.
Akash. I understand and I follow your thought process completely, but the answer is not entirely correct. I'm not saying that you're wrong, you're right. But answer is not entirely correct because of the lack of information that how diseases spreads. So always remember it this way. If you become a business intelligence developer, it's not that you will be able to do all kind of intelligence. No, because first you have to understand the core of the business. Now, here, what we are actually learning is that we are learning to predict. We are trying to predict something which actually deals with diseases. So first, we have to understand how viruses spread. What are vector mechanics? What are vector fomites? How fomites actually spreads? We have to understand these things. Then only we can write a program, right? For example, if the virus has a ratio of, it is called a circulatory ratio. If it has a ratio of, let's say, 1:2, it means that if one person gets affected by this virus, he will minimum has 100% probability that he will affect at least 2 people. So what's happening is that one person is affecting 2 people. Now these 2 people in turn will affect obviously 4 people, then 4 to 16 people. Now you see what's happening. This is an exponential growth. It's at the power degree 2. It's the degree 2 polynomial is a huge polynomial. Like if you give me double the money you gave me yesterday, in 27 days I'll be a millionaire. So think about this. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
It's like creating a chain.
You can call it creating a chain reaction. Yes, you can call that. A chain reaction is something where whenever you invoke anything, it ends up invoking a lot of things, and then it ends up invoking other things, and then other things. Chain reaction. But here, I wouldn't say it's called as chain reaction per se, because technically it's not a reaction. It's an action of what already happened. Do you follow what I just said?
Yes, yes.
So what's happening here is first we have to understand what are vector mechanics. Vector mechanics of not the mathematics vector mechanics of diseases, that what are vectors and what are fomites. What's the death ratio or death rate of the virus? At what temperature a virus can sustain? For how long virus can sustain in the network? For how long person will stay alive? So the longer person stays alive after he has been actually what do you call it? What is the term?
Infected.
Infected by a virus. The longer he stays alive, the chances becomes larger for him to actually make other people infected. If the virus was very deadly, that the moment he is infected, if he dies, then the virus will not spread, because the moment he was infected, he died. He had no chance to meet other people. But think about a virus where if you get the virus today and after 30 days, you will get the symptoms. The incubation period of virus is 30 days. So you have 30 days to spread it into other people. That's what happened with COVID. The initial incubation period was assumed to be 4, and then later on, after 1 month of understanding, it was assumed to be 14. And now it is actually at 18 days. So it has increased. The virus is mutating itself. So how to predict these things? First of all, as I said, we have to understand the core of biogenetics, how gene therapy works. Sorry, not therapy, how genes work, how biogenetics actually correlates to genes. Now, if we have to understand what are clusters. Can anybody explain what are clusters? What is immunity, herd immunity, community immunity? Has anybody heard of these terms, herd immunity or community immunity?
Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah, what's it?
So it is, suppose the virus is new and there are 10 people, clustered around the area. And so if one person is infected, it has 9 potential candidates to infect. And on the other hand, if if the virus has been there for a year or so, and if let's say 6 to 7 people have already been infected and immune to the virus, so now the same for the same scenario, it has only 4 potential candidates to infect. So that is how it would work, like less chance of spreading than before. So the probability is
right.
Yeah.
So now think of this way. Now what we are just having is having discussions on how it spreads, what are the factors, what are the multipliers. Now think about it this way. If you put all of these things all of these factors in an equation. If you make an equation, let's say fx equals to x to the power of n plus y to the power of k divided by L to the power of C divided by, somebody is actually sending me some equation, I don't know what is it, but by the population density, by the humidity, by the environmental factors. If you put all of these into one equation, can you come up with an answer?
Yes, actually, well,
Obviously, right?
Technically we can, but it's
exactly like stock market. We will never be able to come up with 100% true answer, but we can actually try to predict it. That so what is so there is something called as a threshold in the world of machine learning and business intelligence. There's something, whenever we predict something, we have actually done, we say that threshold. What is the threshold of something? Threshold in terms of errors, threshold in terms of success. So whenever we predict something, we say that plus minus 8%, plus minus 10% error rate, right? Because we actually assume that obviously this is not going to be 100% right, because we had 1 million factors, but we have only incorporated 10% of those factors. So our equation is not true.
Right.
Okay, somebody is telling me, yes, Anurag, please tell me. Go ahead, Anurag.
It's Rahul. So threshold is like error margin within which the algorithm can be assumed to give correct outputs.
Yes, you're right. Threshold, as I said, threshold is practically an error margin or a success margin. An error margin, threshold is practically a number which practically controls either we are successful or our experiment is a failure. So let's say if we define a threshold as 7, and so if it exceeds 7, we are a failure. If it's within this 7 range, 0 to 7, we are a success. So that's a threshold. So you can either call it an error margin, you can call it a success rate, you can call it a success margin, but it's a range beyond which things are changing, below which things are different, above which things are different. So as I said, now since we have all the factors actually computed into one singular application, one singular equation, now if we put it into our machine learning neural network, now we have an equation fx equals to blah, 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 blah. We submit this, we create a neural network model, which is called as a deep learning model. We put it as an equation in a neural network model. Let's say we choose an activation function. In this case, I will rather choose a sigmoid or a softmax. I won't go into technicalities, but I will give you the basic details of these activation functions later. I choose sigmoid function, and then I keep throwing data inputs. Let's say I throw inputs from Kerala, I throw inputs from Pune, Maharashtra, Jaipur, Rajasthan, Delhi, Bombay, everywhere. So I gave like 20 million rows as an input, and I already have a test data. I've already trained my system on this function. Now I have tested my system on this function. So cross-validation is done. And this way, finally, we will get that if in the span of 10 days, if it already spread from 10 million to 20 million, in the span of 30 days, it will make from 20 million to 100 crores, something like that. Did you follow that? How did we predict? Obviously, it's not a right number, not a 100% true number, but we came close to a probability of number. Did you guys follow?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Keshav, did this explanation answer your query?
Yeah. Thanks for the the calculations, and then the understanding, and then explaining beautifully what probably how we can do.
Yeah, so always remember that an answer is not an answer unless you practically explains it to the dumbest people in the crowd.
Right.
If they can't understand it, your answer was you don't understand it. My theory is like that. So I never wanted to get into true technicalities of what we will be doing in terms of, because what I just said is just the tip of the iceberg. I was reading about practically, as a matter of fact, I was reading about the case study which Harvard did 4 or 5 months back, and the number of arguments were more than 3,000. And let me tell you that equation, just imagine an equation where LHS fx equals to then 3,000 variables. It's a killer equation. So,
beautifully explained.
Thank you, Keshav. What else, guys?
Hello, sir, Akash here.
Yes, Akash.
So I have a question. If we want to do analysis or we have to do some prediction, we need to have the perfect data, right? To do analysis.
What do you mean by perfect data?
Means true, 100% true. In the case of COVID, I'm talking about in
Oh
the case
yeah,
of
yeah. If
it
your
needs to
input
have,
data is erroneous, if
yeah,
your input data is erroneous, then your output will be erroneous.
yes. So how can we predict if the data is not we can say data is not true? Someone having pneumonia and considering him as a COVID positive person, and he is adding in the list. So how can we predict, or how
Yeah,
can we analyze that thing?
that's a good question, really good question, and I thank you for that, because this is not a business intelligence question. This is more of a psychological question and the perspective that how mathematics works and how economics works. So I'm not sure how well versed you guys are with the macro level economics and the microeconomics. In the world, what happens is that there is an organization which is called WHO, World Health Organization, which practically is the leader of is member of the United Nations, and practically deals with all these major crises in the world in terms of health. Excuse me. So what it does is that whenever these data have been provided from each country, if you do recall that each country have their tickers, which were telling us that these number of the patients have been actually identified as COVID patients, like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. Do you remember on the television news, we could see with the counts that Maharashtra had this many, Pune had this many, Bombay has this many, Delhi.
Yes.
Do you guys follow that?
Yes.
So these stickers are practically real-time RSS feeds for WHO. These stickers have been promoted to WHO. Now, what WHO does is that, based on the previous experience, WHO has already added a threshold of error that these numbers are not entirely accurate. So that threshold has already been added while the calculation of this program. So do you now understand what are these 3,000 arguments, 3,000 variables which are being supplied to that equation? All of this is already in the factor. Always remember it this way. If we, as a group of 250 people here, not even that well versed in the world of biogenetics, if we can think it, the leaders are thinking it already. Did I answer your question?
Yes, I got it.
Okay.
So as a technical person, we can do analysis. Means if data is coming, we don't need to care what is data, means what kind of data we are getting. We need to just formulate that thing, we need to core that thing, and we just need to send to the customer. That's your data and your analysis is done. So this is
so that's the job in the world of technicality. Let's get back to the pragmatic world of tech and our job profiles and whatnot. So in the world of job profiles and what you guys will be actually looking at landing a job, which I'm sure of, obviously. What will happen is a project manager will bring a business analyst in your profile, and you guys will sit together and discuss about, okay, my customer has this problem, our client is actually looking for blah, blah, blah. He has given us this data. Now, that's not a problem if our customer itself is giving us wrong data. We're going to assume that he's giving us the right data. Now, if you are smart enough to actually identify a problem in the data, you go back to the customer and showcase that problem to him. Dude, you have given me a wrong data set. Your output will be erroneous. Customer will look back at the data and identify if there is a problem. Otherwise, if it's a problem, he will give you the right data. If there is no problem, he'll correct the data and give you the right data. So do you understand? Our job as a business intelligence guy, as a machine learning developer, as an AI developer, your job is completely relied on how good your data is. And if you have actually created a deep learning neural network model on wrong data, now you have practically trained your neural network model with wrong outputs. So when you are telling him to blink red, he's blinking green, dude. It's going haywire, and you are thinking, oh, dude, my engine is amazing because you tested it for 10,000 record set, it was working fine. But the moment this 10,000 record set got multiplied into 100 millions, everything goes haywire.
Yes, sir. So my question is, then how the analysis person understand the data is correct? Means you said that machine learning and all these things, but suppose customer send me data, I analyze that data, and then how I come to know that this data is correct or not?
Okay, that's a good question. Think about it this way. Which sport do you follow? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Which sports do you follow? Do you follow any sport?
Football, sir.
Football, you follow football. The American football or the English football?
Both.
Both, okay. So I'm a fan of English football, so I'm going to take an example of English football. So English football, 11 plus 11 players, 2 managers, 3 jobs. 4 extras plus 5 double extras. Now, if I give you this number, by itself, you're going to see, this is a good number. But all of a sudden, I give you number 6 plus 6. Only 6 place one side, 6 place other side. What are you going to say?
This data is not correct.
Exactly. And how did you say that? Unless you had the knowledge of the business.
Yeah.
In this
Yeah,
case, the
yeah.
game itself, you cannot say that.
Yes, sir. Right, sir.
So you have to understand the business for yourself to actually make that confident, dude, this data is wrong. And understanding business is not a one-day job, bro. It comes with experience in sitting there. You understand our older generations, we keep making jokes about our older generation that they just used to warm their seats sitting on the chair. It's not like that. Sitting on a chair is a
No,
difficult job. They used to sit there. Now you can ask them in and out about their system. Maybe they're not that versed in the technicalities, but they know in and out about their business. You ask them the question, dude, where is this? Where is that? They will answer to that. You ask them how to open Microsoft Excel, they will be like, what the F?
yes, sir. Right. They can quickly say that this data is not correct. This data is wrong because the experience is too much. So they can clearly say that this data is not correct. This data is. So
Yeah,
they can't
otherwise
be.
you cannot. Otherwise, you are just a puppet in the hands of technology. You're going to follow the same steps which YouTube tells us or books tells us, and you're not going to apply your own thought. You're just going to follow step 1, step 2, step 3. You're going to come up with an output. You're going to assume that your model is amazing. You have followed every step in the book. You have followed it to the teeth of it, and you're going to be rejoicing. And all of a sudden, one day you'll be getting a call, dude, everything is broken. So you have to understand business first before you start solving their problems. Technology is easy, bro. Technology is really easy. Business is very difficult.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. What else, guys?
Hello, Himanshu, I'm
Sir,
Omkar.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello,
sir. Who is
Himanshu,
this?
I'm Omkar. A quick
Hello.
addition to that. So a few moments ago, you mentioned the term data quality. So were you
Yes.
relating to this same thing or something different? Like,
I was talking about the same thing. Like this question arises from the concept that if the data itself is erroneous.
okay, right.
Right. So the data quality is a two-step process. First is data discovery, then data management, and then final term is data quality. With data quality is practically the discovery of the data and then massaging and cleansing it and then transforming it into a factor where we can use it.
Okay.
That's the complete idea of data quality. Removing all the error records, the dummy records, the sample records, and making it one as a whole.
Right.
Okay, sir.
Hello.
This is Vivek.
Hello.
Who is this?
So this is
Sir,
Vivek.
Mahesh Sawant.
Savant and Pradeep. Let's Savant, you go first.
Sir, my question is simple, but I want to ask that how can we make or how can we minimize the error in artificial intelligence or in data science? How
How
they
can you
predict the
minimize the
equations,
error?
minimize the error, and how they form the equations or how they do that?
Okay. So if I'm understanding a question right, you want to ask that how the equations are formulated. Like if you are writing an
Formulated.
equation, how will you think that which equation to write?
Which equations to write and how they calculate and how they make the formula
So there
to
is no
minimize the
Bible
error.
to it, Savan. Savan, there is no Bible to it. I cannot tell you that you do this, do this, do this, your error will be minimum. No. Every application, every understanding is different. If you are actually, assume it this way, if your equation was very simple, fx equals to x plus 1, the moment you look at it, your basic brain arises and then you're good. Okay, I can solve it. But if the equation all of a sudden that function becomes a complex function, it will be difficult for you to understand.
Sir,
So I don't know if I'm following your question correctly. Repeat that question for me once.
So you're right, but you said that in machine learning, it always learns from the experience.
Yes.
So how did this process goes on?
Oh, how did this process go on? So practically what you're talking about is artificial intelligence or
Sir,
machine learning.
yes, sir.
So both are different
I have an
concepts.
interest. I have an interest in machine learning, but I am from a mechanical background. Okay. So,
That's no problem.
sir, that's my problem, sir. So
No, that's not a
that's why,
problem at all.
yes, sir. For that, I have to start from the basic. Okay.
Okay.
You know, that's why I want to think and how this process goes on.
Okay, Savan, give me like 10 seconds to process my thoughts and put it in a very neat way. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, Savant, you have to understand the basic difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence system. In machine learning, what we do is that we train the machine. Okay, humans. Machine itself doesn't train itself. Okay.
So
Do you
your
follow
voice was
that?
breaking. So your voice was
Okay, I
breaking.
will repeat. In the world of machine learning, humans write the programming, which that programming trains the machine.
Yes.
Okay, this programming is nothing but the inputs and the output factors. Right, we supplied some data based on the output. It learns itself. Okay,
So your voice
but
is breaking,
how
sir.
it is learned? Is my voice breaking for everyone or just for
No,
Savan?
not for us.
No, sir.
Not for us.
Perfectly fine here.
Okay, so Savan, I will
So
repeat myself again, and
so
this
in
time
my
I'm going to
screen it
go
is
slow.
showing the bandwidth is low, sir.
So that's your screen, right?
So I don't understand what's the problem, sir.
Probably okay. Let me jump back to other question, Pradeep, I guess. And Savant, once your bandwidth is good, you
Okay.
just holler your hand at me. Okay.
Okay.
So
Sir.
All right.
it's Vivek, not Pradeep.
Vivek. All right. Sorry, Vivek. Tell me.
Yeah. So whatever you have told about business intelligence, I could relate it closely to data analytics. So they are very much similar to data analytics, but what I don't understand is if both the things are almost similar, why do you have a different term? And how does it actually work? Because ultimately in data analytics also, we actually go through the same process. We need the cleaning of data. We need the data error-free data. We need to analyze, we make the charts as well and represent the charts to the managers or whoever business person is to make so that they can make their decisions. So I didn't
That's a really
understand
good question, Vivek.
why we
I
have two
a lot
different
of people
terms.
have asked me this question. Sorry to interrupt. A lot of people have asked me this question that why so many terms with the same thing like data analytics, data quality, and blah blah blah. So think of this way. Let me take the example which will make you understand. So you have data and you are preparing a chart over it to represent it to your business. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So you have data and over the top of it, you're doing some analytics. But what if I don't give you the data? How will you do analytics?
That would be difficult if we don't have the
Exactly.
data.
Where does, and here comes the different aspects of business intelligence. You have to understand that business intelligence is the entire umbrella. Data analytics is part of it. It's one of the finger spoke of that umbrella. Now, the first part for you to understand is that what is an ETL process: extract, transform, and load. You're extracting the data from a source, transforming it in the fashion where you want it, and then coming back to loading it into a system. Then only you can analyze it, right? Then only you can do some analytics.
Yes, sir.
If I give you a 10,000 words book and ask you to analyze this book, what will you analyze, bro? You will ask me question, analyze what? Which character? What do you want me to look into? Are there some patterns which I should be finding? Right? You will ask me these
Yes, sir.
questions.
Yes, sir.
So then only you will analyze. Without that, you cannot do any data analytics. So understand BI is the upper version of data analytics. First, you have to implement the extract, transform, load. You have to get the data, transform it into the way you understand, and then load it into a system. Let's call this system as Microsoft Excel. What you did is that you converted that 10,000 pages book into rows and columns, where rows could be the name of the characters and columns could be how many times they appear on each page. Then you will start analyzing this, right? But you have to first put it into this data format.
Yes, sir.
Did you follow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Savant, how is your network now?
Yes, it
I
will, sir.
see somebody is raising their hand. 2025 underscore underscore. I don't see anything else.
Hello. अच्छा
Yeah.
महेश सावंत sir.
Yes, Savan, tell me. Your network is better?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Savan, this is how it is. Machine learning and artificial intelligence systems are two separate systems. In machine learning, machine is not teaching itself. We are teaching the machine. In artificially intelligent system, the machine teaches itself. We have programmed the machine to teach itself. Whatever the output is coming, it learns from the same output and feed into. It's called a feedback loop. In machine intelligence, it is also called a feedback loop, but in a different fashion. I won't be able to make you understand these two without giving you a demo of the code. I really wanted you guys to see some of my code, but since I'm on phone, I don't think so I can do a lot.
Okay, sir. Good luck
Savan,
next time, sir.
do one thing. My username is spinning iota, SPINNING IOTA. You can send me a telegram on the application called Telegram, and let's connect there. Or you can actually send me a DM on LinkedIn or Twitter. Same username. Practically, my username is same everywhere on the web, spinning iota. And just find me anywhere and ping me with your name and your query. I will explain it to you there.
Okay, sir. Okay.
All right, Savan. Thank you, sir.
Sir, can you repeat
Thank you,
your
sir.
ID?
Spinning iota. SPINNING
SPI
double NING
double NING
IOTA. Iota. You remember underscore under root -1?
Yes, sir.
The complex number? Yeah, that one.
So I have a question for you.
Yes, sir, please.
So my name is Aditya. I have a question for
Yes,
you.
Aditya.
Will artificial intelligence in the future kill jobs? And if yes, what kind of jobs will it kill? And if no, will it be other way around? Will it be able to generate jobs?
That's a really good question. You guys are pretty intelligent guys, yeah. You guys, I'd never thought that students will be asking me these questions, but I am really impressed. So this is an economic-based question. Yes, artificially intelligent systems will kill jobs, but it will only kill unskilled laborers' jobs. Think about truck drivers. If we have an automation system of all the trucks, we don't need the drivers, right?
Right.
So,
Yes,
but it cannot kill a surgeon. It just cannot, because surgeon at the time of an emergency will act humanely and take the most humane decision possible, whereas a machine will only take the most probabilistic successful option.
Right. Right.
There's a movie called I, Robot by Will Smith. Like Will Smith is acting in that movie. You might want to watch it. This is practically you'll like that movie if you are asking me that question. Your second part of the question was, will it create jobs? It will definitely create jobs, because see, machine learning, what it is doing is that it is, how old are you? I forgot your name. Please, can you please repeat your name?
Aditya. I'm 26 years
Aditya.
old.
You're 26-year-old Aditya. In your entire lifetime, have you heard of a job called chocolate tasting?
So I've heard of it, but I do not know anything about it. I've just
Yeah,
heard
dude,
it
like,
once among
yeah,
friends.
but like in my time, if somebody would have told me that he wanted to be a chocolate taster, I would have slapped his face and told him, dude, there is no job like that. Right. But these days, a lot of paradigms are shifting and the world is opening towards things which we weren't aware of. And artificial
Right.
intelligence systems are giving us these opportunities.
Right.
Right. So it's about how we practically use artificial intelligence systems. If we are not using AI the way we should be using it, then not to actually put some fear into you, but the judgment days such as Terminator the movie and the Matrix can be possible, right?
Okay.
So think about that. It's not one time thing, man. You have to actually think a lot about it, that it can kill your job. At the same time, it can create multiple jobs as well.
Right.
I hope, Aditya, that if it does not satisfy you, it will actually give you a food for thought.
Okay. And so,
All
what
right,
was the
thanks,
name?
Adi.
Can you repeat the name of the movie, that Will Smith movie?
It was a Will Smith movie called I, Robot, I guess. I, Robot,
Yes,
or
it is
yeah,
iRobot.
All
it's
right.
an old movie. I saw it like 10 years back. I don't know. But one of my favorite movies is The Matrix. I love The Matrix. Uh, After Star Wars and Star Trek. Uh,
All right.
so Matrix is an amazing example of what artificial intelligence system can be, and you should watch the movie Matrix, the whole trilogy.
Okay, sir.
Matrix 4 is also coming.
Sorry, the
The
Matrix
Matrix
4 is
4.
coming. Yeah. Keanu is actually doing that in 2021. Probably by 2022 it will be in. Somebody was asking me a question.
Sir, Rahul here.
Yes, Rahul, please go ahead.
Sir, I was having somewhat ambiguity between business analysis and BI, but as you just said, that BI is an upper layer of business analysis. So
Yes,
we
sir.
can't actually analyze anything if we don't have any concrete data. So in a sense, if if we want to analyze something, then we have to have some concrete data.
Yeah.
Right? So BI in a sense is making sense of that data and making that sense in your business scenario.
That's awesome. That's a very good definition. Thanks,
Yeah,
Rahul.
what happens is now big companies and organizations, they have huge pile of historical data on which they can run their BI algorithms with whatever technology they have available with them. So my question is, what if a startup which is starting from ground up wants to incorporate BI in their workflow? How should they go about it? For
Uh,
startups.
your thought process as an idea is good, but I see this going in terms of a failure. Hear me out. I'm not criticizing. I'm giving you a very good compliment here. If you let me finish here.
Yes, sir.
So what you're doing is that you want to do something in BI, but you're not focused on the application. Which application you want to work on? Never do that. Focus on the application. That let's say you want to help children, or you want to help farmers. And how will you help farmers? You will use business intelligence. But the application is farmers. BI is a tool. Don't focus on the tool, man. Focus on the application and then start your startup.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and always choose the application which practically it has to be your passion. Like you should love it. You should be driven by it. Otherwise, what will happen is that you will start it with a lot of love, lot of passion, but eventually it will phase out, and then you will be like, dude, just leave it. And that's practically why a lot of 99% of the startups fail, because they have been started up uh, at the with the zeal. Okay, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, but they don't love the idea. They don't have the passion for it, and they practically just everything phase out. It's practically to use for the lack of the good words or good statement, I would say in a relationship, right? A girl or a boy are in a relationship. The practically it phases out if they were never loved into it.
Okay.
So think about that. Love your application and then choose whatever technology you want.
Okay, so
Do you
basically,
follow?
yes, sir. So basically, we have to focus more on the business than rather than focusing on the technical aspects.
Yeah, forget about technicalities, man. Your CTO will take care of that. You will have a partner who is more into technology. He will take care of that. He will actually guide you to that we should implement business intelligence. What if you don't need BI? What if the complete idea of your whole startup is done in 25 rows in an Excel workbook? Why will you implement BI for that? 25 rows, you can just look at it and identify all kind of patterns you want.
Right. Actually, my question, the sense of question was.
And hold on. I'm getting a lot of noises from back end, like utensils.
I'm not.
Can
Rohit,
people
mute
mute
everyone.
themselves, please?
It's not from my side.
Rohit, mute everyone.
Yes, sir. No, it's.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So what actually I was thinking that the big companies which have a lot of money fine, they can go about incorporating any sort of technology in their workflow. So is it really like the startups which they have are limited money or limited cash flow, they can't go about doing it, or
They can, Rahul, they can, right? think about it this way. I'll give you, so a friend of mine has actually started this startup which practically deals with artificial intelligence systems. So you must have heard of the application where what happens is that we have to go through a lot of emails. It's practically for the contact centers and the call centers such as Genpact and these BPOs and KPOs, right? So what this tool does is this tool basically practically goes through all the mailers and the messages and the voice transcripts of the calls, and then it identifies how many good calls, how many bad calls, how many frustrated customers, how many happy customers are there.
Yes.
So he first thought of an application. Then he used business intelligence and artificial intelligence system to apply on it. And then he targeted with his clients. He first went to Genpact. Genpact actually chose it. And then right now he's actually servicing Genpact. So his company is servicing Genpact.
Yes,
So just let me be very clear, guys. Don't open a startup for the sake of opening a startup. Are you helping anyone? First, think of it this way: that is your idea, first of all, feasible? Second of all, is your idea helping anyone? Third of all, is your idea scalable? Are you helping only 10 guys sitting in one corner, or can you scale that to a bigger picture? If you are happy with those 10 guys, amazing, do it. But if you want to scale, you should think it in the start itself. What's your scalability program? Choose your partners very carefully. Never invest your own money unless you have no option. Never ask for money apart from your partners. Always remember these basic ideas when you open a startup.
So basically,
This was not business intelligence, but I just thought of throwing it out.
So what you meant to say is apply brains whenever you are designing that style.
Come again?
So apply brains. In a sense, think first what you want to achieve, or you have that passion to go about that.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a book called Jobs. It's based on Steve Jobs. Buy that book. Read it.
So that was exactly my question. So I was going to ask you, so all these books that are available in the market right now, the biographies of all these people, and the Think and Grow Rich and Rich Dad Poor Dad, all those kind of books, does those books really help?
They never helped me. All these moral books and moral upbringing and all that, they never helped me. But see, books are something, words are something which are practically perception by perception based. There's a book called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I never liked that book, but a lot of people, they do love it. They loved it. So see, it helped them, but it could never help me. So I cannot actually tell you that whether a book will help you or not. It's practically completely your decision. But reading a book is definitely which you should do. You choose a book, and if you do not follow the book, throw it out, buy a new book. Let me tell you guys one thing very honestly, very straightforward. This is the universal truth. You want to, you have to, you should keep reading books. If you don't like reading, then probably you're not choosing the right book. Keep choosing the books unless you start loving reading.
Thank you, sir. I got my answer.
Cool. Do you guys follow Game of Thrones?
Yes.
All right. So there's a character called Tyrion Lannister. There's a book called it's called The Wit and Wisdom of Tyrion Lannister. It's by John T. Clarke. It's an amazing book. It has like all the quotes of Tyrion Lannister, the character, and caricatures. It's an amazing book. You guys should read it. Okay, what else, guys? 2172_Shubh.
Sir, I'm Omkar, and I would just like to, if I may, I would just like to compliment you on your answer for that books for the question. A lot of people ask that question, and I've never seen such a good answer. So it was amazing.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, Shubham here.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, being a student and you are being an industry person, so what do you suggest? What should be our roadmap to be part of this business intelligence? Or any big idea like?
Shubham, I cannot help you with that because first you have to tell me what your passion is. Then I can guide you with that part. If you want me to tell you the path that you should walk on it, you should practically listen to Nityananda and all those Babas, bro.
No, sir, I'm
Don't
not
listen
asking.
to that.
No.
First, you tell me what would you like to do?
Thing is, when you try something, you then come across no, you like it or not like it. So I just
at this stage, at this moment, at 16:22 on a Saturday of an October of the year 2022, What do you like right now?
Sorry, sir, but I don't. I can't answer that question.
So you're lost.
Yeah.
So you're lost right now. So
Yeah,
first,
yeah,
try to find your focal point. Okay. Do some meditation. I'm not talking about like yoga and all that. Close your eyes for 10 minutes and think about what you want to do in your life right now. Like what path, what makes you happy? Well, it could be playing cricket, man. Play cricket. Maybe you will end up writing an algorithm how to make the best cricketing shot ever. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir, it does.
Yeah,
I
first
had to
find your
think about
focal
it.
point.
Yeah,
Shubham. What's your focus at? It could be movies. If you are into movies, if you watch a lot of movies, then what you can do is you can start criticizing these movies by writing an algorithm that go through the subtitles of all the movies and see that which plot is good, which plot is not. Think about these ideas. But as of now, I cannot guide you because you're lost there. Give me a focal point and I'll help you out with that. Shubham, does that make sense?
yes, sir. I had to think about this. Okay.
Sure, take your time, man. No problem. 1517 underscore Akash.
Hello, sir. Akash here.
Yes, Akash. Tell me, please.
Yes, sir. As we know that in machine learning, in data science, in data scientists, in data analysts, in big data, the statistics plays a major role.
Yes, sir, it does.
Yes, statistics plays a major role. So can you please explain that statistics means how we need to what I can say, how we need to
Yes, I
grasp
can.
that how we need to prepare for that statistics, because I want to become a big data analyst.
Big data analyst.
Yeah, and I am,
Okay.
and major part in my big data analysis is statistics.
Okay.
Right. So how can I prepare for that? Can you please explain in
All right,
statistics
sure,
part?
Akash. Sure. First, do you understand what statistics is?
Yes.
Okay. So if we have 200 people right now on the call, and what will be the median number?
No, sir, I'm not reading.
Okay, let's think about it this way. You studied your 10th and 12th somewhere, maybe 2 years, 3 years back, 4 years back. And how many people, how many students were there in the class?
In 10th,
How many students were there in the class?
60.
In school, any class, like choose your current class if that matters.
60.
60.
Yeah.
60. And rank 1 is given to only one person, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And rank 1 is given to the person who scored the highest marks in all the subjects.
Right.
Right. What happens when two students score exactly same marks?
It will go accordingly to point something, having different it's
No,
external.
everything is same. Everything is same. Every subject exactly same marks.
Then we can go to the subject-wise marks.
But I'm telling you, all the subjects, they are exactly same. There is no difference between student A and student B. There were 10 subjects. Both of the students score 100 out of 100 in all 10. Who will be first? Who will be second? Who will be third?
Okay, then it is problematic. How can we give one number to 2%?
It's not problematic. It's actually something which is part of statistics. It's core statistics. What it practically does is that you have to understand the distribution of data. What is continuous distribution and what is discrete distribution? And when you understand that, and you have to understand what are continuous functions and what are discontinuous functions. Do you remember the continuity, like fx, we differentiate a function f dx? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, so you have to understand these terminologies before you deep dive into statistics. Because the moment you will go into statistics, the deep dive of statistics connects with calculus, set theory, and probability. There is something called as probabilistic distribution, PA by PB, or PA by B. Like what are the chances of happening of A if B already occurred, or if B didn't occur, something like that. So both are there, direct proportion, inverse proportion. If you don't understand the concept of probability, calculus, and set theory, it will be very difficult for you to go in the deep of statistics, because eventually the deep statistics will revolve around all of these concepts.
Yeah, right.
Do you follow?
Yes.
I'll give you an example. How many of you guys knows what is Lorentz transformation? Do you remember something called as Laplace and Fourier transformation, Lorentz transformation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, explain what is
so
sorry?
L of t is equal to function. L of t is
Yeah.
equal to function from 0 to infinity.
Yeah.
I think s raised to et. I think that kind of function.
Oh, cool. Pretty close. Pretty close. And what is Fourier transform?
Fourier transform is like there are three variables: a0 initialization plus a1, and there is a sine function sin ax plus cos bx, like.
Okay.
Okay, and there is another. There are two types in this case for sine transform and Fourier transform, considering two values, sine as well as cos. And in this case, there are three variables you have to determine. A0, and then b0, bn. And from the A0
Cool.
is basically.
Who is this? What's your name?
Sir, Prakash, sir.
Prakash. Prakash, that's a good answer. Now think about it this way. Where will you apply this? You know all the equations. Equation was a little bit skewed. It's not B0, it's A0 to the power Bn. But I follow what you meant. Where do you apply all of this? Now you know the whole equation. What will you do with it?
From this equation, I have to make a function initially. Then we can apply.
Okay, you have made a function. Now what? What is the practical real life application of this application?
This application is in an electrical signal. Fourier transform is mainly performed in the electrical signals.
Give me a real time application right now.
In transformers.
Transformers and doing what?
Transformer and generator, they are generally performed basing on this Fourier transform. Actually,
yeah. And what do they do? Like how Fourier transform is used in transformers or generators. I'll give you an example.
Yes, sir.
You must have seen something or heard what is called as music industry, right? The music
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Yes,
all right.
Sir.
What music industry practically has it has something called as waves, because music sound is a wave, right?
Yes, sir. Yes. And a particular
what is a sine?
wavelength.
What is a cost?
Sir,
they are practically a wave.
Yes, sir.
They are wave functions.
Yes, yes.
A sine is practically a 0, 0 on 0 and pi by 2 by 1, right?
Yes.
1 on pi by 2.
Yes.
And cos is exactly the shift
0
of pi by 2 of sine.
Yes,
right?
0, 1, 180, 0.
Right. So you have to understand that how Fourier transformation is used in the world of music and sound industry is that if you would have heard something called as noise cancellation headphones. Have anybody heard of it? Noise cancellation headphones?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And or if you have not heard of it, you must have seen in cricket commentary, the commentators, they have this condenser which is very close to them.
Yes, yes, yes.
And whenever they speak, they have to come close to it.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes,
if they're
yes,
speaking like 3 inches away, it doesn't work.
Yes, sir.
That's the real life example of Fourier transform. What it is practically doing is that it's reducing noise.
I am going so far. Sir, we can also do frequency domain analysis. In case of music, boosting low frequencies to increase the bass, increasing the amplitude, higher frequencies to increase the treble, vocals,
That's very nice.
rock,
Yes.
jazz.
So you know that. So you now practically know, like for example, if there's a B flat in the middle of C, how to remove that B flat.
Yeah. And
yeah,
sir,
so it practically looks like this. It's a condenser looks like this, and a condenser practically. Why these mics are costly is that the system inside understands what kind of different frequencies it has. So whenever a sound wave is coming, is a lot of mixed wave, like one wave which has a lot of information. And what condenser does is it separates all the waves and only focus on what is the actual true voice and diminishes everything. That's noise cancellation.
Okay, sir.
Now coming back to the actual question where the statistics came into the picture, and I forgot the name of the person who asked me. is that how to move towards statistics. Yes, Akash, your question was how to move towards statistics. Akash, first of all, you go back home, or if you're already at home, pick up your 10th standard mathematics book. Okay.
Right, sir.
Finish all these. There was a section C if you are NCRT. If you are ISC, there is a section B. And if you are a state board, I'm not sure. Every state board has different sections. So finish either section B or section C completely in 1 week, because standard 10th is something which you should be able to do in less than 1 week. If you're not able to do Akash, that's okay, not a problem. But then you have to understand that if you cannot do 10th standard mathematics, there is no need to jump into higher advanced statistics. Do you follow?
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Yeah, so pick up 10th standard mathematics, finish those statistics, pick up 12th standard statistics, finish that, and then you will understand the complete understanding of the basic of statistics. Then you will go into probability, then you will get into calculus, but unless you understand the stats basic, there is no need to actually understand the advanced stats. It's practically that you are asking me how to do PhD when you have not done your bachelor.
Right.
Do you follow?
Right, sir. Right, sir. That is my exactly the next question. That what is the prerequisite for statistics? You explain it.
What is the
prerequisite? What we have to do before jumping into
prerequisite
that?
For stats is 10th and 12th.
Yeah.
Everybody has done it. It's just that you might not remember it because if you didn't have interest in it, so you would have forgotten it. Go back and revise. It's okay, not a problem. I do that a lot of times. So I'll show you. This is my class 12 economics book. I still have it. I read it when I want to, like, it's a light read for me. I have my class 12 mathematics book somewhere here. So go back to your basics and start learning them. Okay, I see four other people raising their hands. All right, please shoot.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Who's this?
Good afternoon, sir. Shubham.
Shubham, yes, Shubham, tell me.
Sir, I don't know much about data science and stuff, but I have a requirement question that if I want to plot some data related to how the invention of Coke and beverages stuff has influenced and increased the alarming rate of obesity around the world.
Case study.
Yes, sir, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And so, sir, what things would I need? What knowledge in which subject would I need? And what tools would I need to convince people? Because sir, we already know that those stuffs impact our health. But to convince people, we need to show some visualization and some data and how we can influence people one to one. That if I want to show you that if you keep on consuming Coke or beverages and snack, how your health is going to change for you personally, not just for, because everyone is a different being and every body reacts differently to every different food substance.
True. So first of all, you have to understand what was your name?
So Shubham.
Shubham. Sorry, Shubham. So Shubham, the question is interesting, but what you're talking about is business intelligence and AI at the scale of mass. We're talking about mass scale idea, right? Whenever we talk about any visualization, always remember that people are not everybody is into charts, all right? So if you show my grandmother a chart, she will be like, dude, I don't care, man. Just tell me what to do. Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you talk to your father, you talk to your mother who does not understand anything about technology. I'm not saying that your person.
They'll get less interested when we show technical stuff.
Yeah. So you're bringing the concept of mass understanding into BI.
Yes.
First, there you're wrong, because whenever you bring the BI into mass, you have to think about propaganda. So when you're talking about that Coke is bad for health, it was a long time back. It was also said that AC is good for health. AC is practically, I'm not talking about the air conditioning. I'm talking about the alternating current and the direct current. If you do recall a long time back when Nikola Tesla actually discovered or practically invented the concept of alternating current, at the same time, Thomas Alva Edison discovered or practically invented the direct current, and he did burn an elephant using AC. So his idea was
badly.
Edison practically burned AC just saying that AC is very dangerous. He burnt an elephant using 5,000 volt AC batteries to fear people, to incite people with this horrendous idea of alternating current. What was that? That was propaganda. That was not business intelligence. So what you are practically talking about, how to put insights into people's mind and make them understand. Not a BI alone cannot do that. You need good marketing, very good marketing skills. You need good people skills. You need a very good PR
Specialist
team.
in nutrition, maybe.
Yeah, a lot of people. So as I said, there are a lot of variables to your questions. And since I'm not an expert in those variables, I would just explain the part which I do understand.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Himanshu, Keshav.
Yes, Keshav. I think we are crossing our timeline.
We have overshot that time. Okay. Now, Vishakha, you ask your question because girls have not asked, so I'll give you the chance, and then we'll end with this your query, Vishakha.
Okay, so I see three people have raised their hands.
They have
So
already
now three
asked.
questions from three different girls.
Vivek has asked a lot of questions. Omkar also has multiple questions asked, answered by you. So, Vishakha, your chance.
Yes, sir. Sir, my question is that we are going to pass some data to a machine, okay, and it give output in the form of 0 or 1 or true or false, anything. But suppose consider a chatbot, okay. Hello, sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, Vishnu.
Suppose, sir, consider chatbot data, okay, and in that data we are suppose performing a divided training and testing and validate all these things data. But suppose in that data a question is how are you, and the answer is already defined like okay, I'm fine. But suppose I'm ask a question for a chatbot like what's up, then how it's going to work?
That is called as semantics.
It's because it's not already stored in our data set, so how it's going to work?
Yes. No, it has to be stored in the data set. So what you're practically talking about is something called as data dictionary or thesaurus, and you define your semantics in a fashion where how non-linguistic programming works. So non-linguistic programming is something which does not correlate with how the words are being set up in a statement. So as you said, how are you is a very simple grammar. Anybody understand that? But you're talking about a slang language. What's up, dude? So can chatbot reply to that? What you need to do is that you need to train your chatbot in NLP. This NLP should have a data dictionary which talks about slangs, right? So slangs coming from every country are different. Americans have different slang, Brazilians have different slang, Swedish have different slang. So you need to have all of these data dictionaries set up and feed it to the system where it tells what's up is practically equivalent to how are you. What's up, dude is also equivalent to how are you. So all of these equation, it's practically a thesaurus. Like you've seen thesaurus, right? You have a word, then all the synonyms, then all the antonyms. So that's what you have to define for this. It's a very simple example of NLP, and it's very, very easily doable. It's not big deal. It's
that means it just perform pattern matching and all things.
It's not pattern matching. What you do is that in the world of real technology, since you're asking about a question of chatbots, so these are practically XML files, all right? So you have a word, for example, how are you is a statement which has been given an enum of 1. Now 1 has a mapping of a different XML file, which is all the synonyms. So 1 has 10 synonyms. How are you is what's up, dude, what's up, girl, all what's happening, all of these are synonym mapped to this index. So these are like big, huge XML files. And the chatbot just traverses through this XML file, create its own data model, and then we are good.
Then, sir, my question is how Sophia is work? I know it's using a
Sophia.
AI. Yeah.
Sophia as in?
So that artificial intelligence.
Female robots, sir.
AI. Okay. The Sophia, the female. I thought you were talking about some girl.
No, sir.
Okay, so it's an embedded robot, man. Before understanding how Sophia actually talks, you should understand how Mr. Cusp worked in 2001 or how AlphaQ works. AlphaQ is practically the DeepMind engine of the chess game, and it's an amazing chess engine if you guys are into chess. These are practically moves, right? You just keep feeding these moves. You keep enhancing your dictionary. Think about this way. If I feed all the words ever spoken in any format to a machine, now it knows everything. The way we speak, at what time, what we speak. it can answer, right? It's practically a child. Somebody actually explained this concept of BI as making a baby understand, like
Sir,
when it's
it's me,
growing,
sir.
right? Oh, it's you. All right.
Yeah.
So you're just feeding the information to baby, and then baby will react the way it's supposed to be. If I take a South Indian baby who is supposed to talk in a Telugu, and if I started growing him up, not growing, sorry, what I'm saying, if I started raising him up, and in North India, he'll start learning Hindi by birth. There is no difference there. It does, the races, the genes doesn't matter there. So you make a system, you feed the system the data model which has all the dictionaries, all the thesaurus in the world, and it will be smart enough to understand what you mean.
Okay, sir.
Okay, the computation
Yeah.
power though will be very huge. You have like huge computational power, because I do simple data analytics, and my system goes for a crash a lot of times. And I have a massive machine. I have a 256 gig RAM. I have 32 gigs of graphic card. I have a GPU of 16 gig, and it crashes in less than like 1 billion rows. Now think about what you're talking about is hundreds and hundreds of billions of rows. So you need massive computation power.
Yes, sir. Actually, I just work on that chatbot, so I'm going to use a
Okay.
Google Colab for a data set
Google
purpose.
Colab is good. Yeah, Google
Yeah.
Colab is good. But problem with Google Colab is you always have to be connected to internet. You cannot
Internet,
do
yeah,
anything
sir.
local.
Yes, sir.
So if you by mistake, like let's say, like a lot of times what I do is that I go to these cafes like Starbucks, I sit there and I work on my machine, and I cannot use public internet because I never use public Wi-Fi uh, uh, because of the security reasons. So you cannot work on your local machine if you're using Colab. But it's practically your own choice. You like if you want that, you should do that.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks, Vishaka. All right, two other girls. No more girls in the group?
Girls are there. Uh, so Himanshu is curious to know some questions from girls. Come on, girls, show your power. I believe you have answered east, west, north, south, everything in BI. Then you have answered everything in
I
machine
hope.
learning,
I hope I did.
and you have answered touched based on neural networks as well, artificial intelligence as well. And literally myself and my colleagues, Mr. Rohit, Mr. Chetan Khairnar from DYPMS, Mr. Prashant from IACSD, Mr. Mahesh from IACSD, Mr. Shrikant from IACSD, and my students from IACSD, my students from DYPMS, and the other participants and alumni whom we have invited for this wonderful guest session with Mr. Himanshu. All of you have loved it, and
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I like the way you explained the concepts and connected the data points that made the learning or understanding much more simpler. And this will give them a lot of this will give them quite some boost to understand and applicate certain complex I should say data points, and then predict how they can predict in future if they are into BI, if they are into, the students are coming from various domains. So those who are into BI and the big data, probably they'll follow that. Those who are into application domain, they'll follow in that way. So I would thank you for your wonderful you know in accepting our initiative and sharing your thoughts, and it was wonderful, fantastic having you. And also we appreciate the time you invested. We overshot the time, but at any given point it never looked that you are looking at the time watch, or you are very curious, "Arey, I have overshot the time, I should conclude." That was the best part, that you always initiated what's the next, what's the next, who's there, and then you took up each and every questions personally and answered them properly. Thank you
I
once again.
appreciate, sir. I appreciate, guys, and thank you so much for having me with you guys and giving me an opportunity to talk to you. And what I would say in the end is that I hope that I was able to help you out with your problems. I was able to solve your issues. And if you have more technical issues, I've already given you my DM. Find me, Google me. I'm available. You will be I'm easily Googleable, so you can find me anywhere. Ask me questions in terms of technologies if you are facing, if in terms of syntaxes you are facing, or if you're just facing some normal psychological bullshit given by society. So just talk to me, guys. Okay?
Okay. And also my colleague Chetan is there. So I would
Yes,
request
Chetan.
Mr. Chetan to say a few words. If you are there.
Yeah. Thank you, Keshav sir. First of all, it's a wonderful session. Thank you, Himanshu sir, for coming and delivering the session for our IACSD as well as DYPMS students. It's a lovely session. I also attended the session, and I like the way you explain the questions or the queries of the students by giving the example. It's the best part of the session. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Keshav sir.
Thank you, Chetan. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And once again, thanking you, Himanshu. And I would love to have one more session of yours with my students. Within
Sure.
the course is going on for 6 months. So after a couple of months, I will connect with you. And if you have some time and my students would, it would definitely help my students diving more deep into the concepts.
Sure, I will. You guys choose one concept, you guys choose one technology, and based on what we do, we will choose an application. And I will give a deep demo from scratch to end on any application we discuss. I think that will work with all of our students. And I hope my crowd is happy, my audience is happy.
Yeah.
I would please ping me again. I would just say, just ping me again. You can join me on LinkedIn or Twitter or on Telegram, and I think we will just connect from there. I'm sorry,
And,
Keshav, you were saying.
No, hi. Rohit, any student would like to say few words? Rohit, just check.
Yes.
Raise
Okay.
your hand. Any student would like to say
Student
few
from
words?
EDAC, EDBDA, PGDAC,
Or
anyone?
DYPMS, any.
DYPMS, any students would like to say a few words? Akash.
Akash, yes. Go ahead, Akash.
Yes, sir. Akash, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, Akash.
Yes, sir. Thank you for attending. Thank you for giving all the answers questioned by us. It was
Thank you, Akash, for giving me an opportunity.
so it was wonderful because we don't know the basics of what statistics is, what BI is, what we are going to do, what is the industry is going, how industry is going. So you explain it like what we can say, like like a brotherhood. You explain like that. So it helps us and it encourages us for doing a whole remaining months of our course. So thanks a lot for that.
Thank you, Akash. I appreciate
Okay, one more we will take. Vivek, you also can say a few words, and then we'll close the meeting. Then we'll close the seminar, webinar, live.
Hello, sir. So I really appreciate that you took time off from your busy schedule and gave us the insight about how the industry works, what actually business intelligence is, and you took personal questions and solved it for us. This and gave us encouragement on how we can build our careers in this particular field. I'm truly grateful that you gave us the opportunity to ask questions and solve our doubts. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks a
And
lot.
once again,
Vivek.
thanking Mr. Himanshu and all the participants. And I hope there were a lot of takeaways from this session. And in future, we will involve Mr. Himanshu for.
Sure, Keshav. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Have an amazing weekend, guys. Enjoy it as much as you can.
Yeah. Thank you for
All right, guys. Bye. Peace out.
Bye.
Same to you, sir. Bye.